Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. I'm gonna do a quick video response to Logan over at Murmur Than Hell. Gonna do a quick response to a thread he did, which is basically a thread that Gary over at Physical Format Rock and Roll started. And my last video was a response to Gary's, where Gary basically just chose like 10 or 15 VC members, and he was just kind of like, these are some specific videos I'd like to see from these individuals, which is really kind of cool. And I did a response to that one for Gary, and then Logan did a video as well, and he had mentioned me in one of his questions, so I wanted to jump on board and do a response to that. So this one is for my boy Logan. Great channel, by the way, too. I'm going to leave a link down below to go check him out. Really great guy. One of those guys that doesn't take life too seriously kind of thing, which I really love. Like, you know, he can tell great sarcastic jokes and be real funny and, you know, share his stuff and all of that. So really cool guy. Definitely go check out his channel. So kind of in somewhat of a jokey type of way, what he asked me in the video was to make a video talking about like where I get the money for my collection. And like, are there other things that I don't pay and that type of thing to, you know, get stuff in my collection? So yeah, so this is kind of a how I afford my collection type of video. You know, and then, of course, this is just for me too, because a lot of you got people know that have been in the VC. There's people in here that have collections that are worth tons more than mine and that type of thing. So this has just kind of been my experience. But the one thing I think that most people will find very interesting about my collection is I spend very little money on my collection. Just quite frankly, just don't have the money to spend on just tons of vinyl and that type of thing. So there's a few things I think that sometimes give people the impression that I spend a ton of money on vinyl. And I think number one is like when people see my room tours and stuff like that, you know, I definitely love the way that my music room is laid out, where I have this room as well as the entire basement. That's all mine. If you've seen my tour, you know, you kind of know what my room is like, and I actually be doing a tour here in the next few weeks. And I think just kind of the way my collection is laid out with all the front-facing bins and all of that, it does give the impression that it is a gigantic collection. But when you really get down to it, I only have about, and I say only, but I mean, I have about 4,900, maybe 5,000 records, which is a good chunk of records. But you guys know there's so many people in the VC here that have 5, 6, 10, you know, 1,000 plus records. I mean, just huge collections. But maybe they don't present the same way just because they're in a typical, you know, bookcase fashion thing. I went through and kind of did like a, you know, a judgment count one time and really kind of figured that if I had 2 IKEA 5x5 shelves, I could fit pretty much, I mean, if not every single bit, a vast majority of my collection would fit in 2 5x5 IKEA shelves. So it's just with these front-facing bins, with the way things are laid out, it does give the presentation that there is a lot more than maybe that's actually there. I think the second thing too that, you know, in terms of how I afforded my collection is that I started collecting early. I think that's probably the absolute biggest thing. So, you know, 12, 13, maybe even 15 years ago, I was collecting vinyl with a passion that may be 2 or 3 times what I do now in terms of seeking out vinyl. Matter of fact, I know it was. I mean, it was just all day, every day, thrift stores, traveling to different cities, going to different vinyl record stores. Every single place I went for work, I was, you know, scheduling extra days just to hit vinyl record shops all over the place. I mean, and I was just like buying up tons of stuff. I wish I would have been a little more knowledgeable. You know, I was just basically buying what I liked back then. I wish I would have been more knowledgeable about, you know, rare things and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, 15, 20 years ago, it's like I was just buying up tons of stuff. And that is really responsible with most of the grails and core pieces I have in my collection and stuff like that. That was the stuff that I regularly paid $1, maybe $1.99 for. You know, if you start talking about $4.99 for a record, it was like, whoa, you know. And kind of one example a couple examples I thought I'd pull out just to share that idea. And this is one that always sticks out in my mind the most, is this original pressing of Stone Temple Pilots. This was their release from 1994. I was up in a store in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Again, I was there for work, and I was up there, and I was going through a store, and I saw this, and I was like, oh yeah, I really like to have that record, blah blah blah. But then I was like, oh, it's kind of expensive. Let me kind of think about it, and I, went and got some other stuff, and I was getting ready to leave, and my ex, my girlfriend at the time was like, just go ahead and get it. You want it. I mean, I know it's kind of expensive, but go ahead. I'm like, okay, I'll get it. It was $10, but the thought of paying $10 for a used record then was just like, are you crazy? Where's your $1.99 bin? And the $1.99 bins are the things that carried all the stuff that people regularly pay $15, $20 for now. Near mint copies of The Stranger by Billy Joel and I don't know, Huey Lewis and the News Sports and, all of like those, Tears for Fears, songs from the Big Chair, stuff like that. That was stuff that was regularly excellent to near mint condition in the $1.99, $1 bin. So that was the other way I feel like I've really been able to afford my collection, is a lot of the good stuff that you see me flash, it was, stuff like STP for $10. Or it was stuff like, Winger, sealed copy of Winger 2. I got that for $1. And, today that's a sealed copy. It's like a $90 record. Audio Slave Revelations, got that up in Minnesota. I went to a store up there. It was $12.99, sealed original pressing. These things go for $400, $500 today. So a lot of that stuff that I share that people might go, oh, I've been looking for that forever. That's really cool. And it was like, yeah, at one point in time, that was the $1.99 record. So that may be another thing that gives off that impression. And I think probably the biggest thing of why I don't spend money at all is, for the past about 7 years now, maybe a little bit over 7 years, I have been working at a record store. And I've only worked at a record store over that 7 years strictly for store credit. Like I've never worked to actually make money, so to speak. So a lot of the stuff that you've seen me show in recent finds videos over the last 6, 7 years, it's just stuff that I've gotten in store credit, and again, not spending any money. Matter of fact, this was maybe 6 months ago. I kind of did this little experiment because I was just sitting down thinking about it, and I was like, okay, about how many weeks do I think I averaged working at a record store? Which is probably about 40 per year over the past 6, 7 years. And about how many hours per week? And I was, this is the hourly, and I was so about how much have I gotten in records over the past 6, 7 years? And when I figured it up, it's like it's probably somewhere in the ballpark at their face value then, $23,000, $24,000 of records over the course of the past 6, 7 years. And those are the ones that you bought for $19.99 7, 8 years ago that are worth $90, $100 today, kind of thing. So yeah, kind of in a nutshell, that's how I afford my collection, is that I don't spend really money on my collection. But yeah, so I love working at the record store. I used to work at the Music Record Shop, which is one place here. And of course, the last 3 years I've been over at Riverbend Records, and yeah, that's kind of how I go about doing it. So yeah, anything else I can probably maybe speak about that? Oh, I guess maybe another way to put it is that a lot of my gifts, when people are asking what I want for my birthday, what I want for Christmas, stuff like that, oftentimes it's records that, maybe, hey, I want to get this record. If you guys want to chip in on this, it'd be great if the three of you got, blah, blah, blah. I do a lot of flipping too. So if I happen to find like a record that might be a grail, that's like a $300 record or something like that, maybe I don't have the $300 I want to put towards that. So what I'll do is I'll dive into my collection and say, here are 2 or 3 grails of my collection I don't really listen to anymore, don't really care that much about. And I originally paid between the 3 of them $19 for all of them, but I can sell them and get $400. So I want to get this grail. I'm going to sell those 3 and use that money to buy this grail. To me, I was just trading. I didn't actually spend money in any regard. And in essence, I ended up paying $19 for that grail that I got, because that's what I spent on the original albums. So I do a lot of that too. So